Hey there, guys. How are you? Welcome to another weekly workshop with Optimize It. I am really excited about today's topic. Myself and my dog, who is on the floor, you can't see, but he's participating here and he's very excited too. As you know, this month is all about traffic optimization. So we're talking about all the different ways that you can optimize your traffic sources to increase your website conversions. So today, I'm diving into how you can get more conversions from your social media posts, campaigns, everything that you're doing on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, all of that good stuff. It's kind of interesting because when I started out years and years ago with marketing, I actually started with social media marketing. So I worked for this small, really cool agency. We did social media marketing for companies. It's actually how I started the whole journey towards conversion optimization. So I was focused on creating all these campaigns and creatives and posts for our clients. And it was a really interesting process to go through. Now, I'm talking about like more than 10 years ago, right? But that's where I started. And I really had a ton of fun. And it did lead me onto the path of conversion optimization, because back then, when I was working with different clients on social media, no one was even using Google Analytics to track their success. People were talking about likes and engagements and comments, when today, clearly, that isn't what gives you conversions and makes sure that you're growing your company and your ROI. So that's kind of the path. And today I'm going to be focusing on how you can actually use emotion. So, this is my forte, how you can use emotion, persuasion, psychology to optimize your social media campaigns and posts and stuff like that. Okay, I'm going to dive straight into it. I'm going to stop my camera, share my screen, and let's get started. Okay, so today's workshop is all about using emotion to increase your social media conversions. Now, as you know, I like to keep these workshops as actionable as possible, meaning I want you guys to have a new Google Doc sheet open or a pen and paper if that's your thing, because it is mine, I admit. Try putting your phones on silent. I know that's hard. And definitely closing all the other tabs that you have open, or at least minimizing them, because we're going to take the next 30 to 40 minutes to really dive into the different ways you can use social media and emotion to increase conversions. And my goal is that once we are finished with this workshop, you can literally jump off this workshop and go optimize everything that you're doing in social media. So let's get started. Here's what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to be talking about why emotion is actually the missing key. Oh, I love how it just says to your conversions on social media. That's fantastic writing. How to tap into customers' emotions and understand their goals, social media examples that attract and win customers, and 4 actionable tips for leveraging emotion in your social media campaigns to boost conversions. So I'm going to be showing you really in-depth examples. We're going to be analyzing them. I even have some video examples, which is pretty cool because I haven't done that in a very long time. So yeah, let's get started. First, I thought I'd talk about the numbers. So interestingly enough, according to Social Media Examiner, this is their report from 2018. I was just talking to the founder, Mike, and they're coming out with a new one, their new report in just a few weeks, but I'm using this one. So according to Social Media Examiner, 3 million businesses use Facebook and actually social media to market themselves. It's incredibly interesting to see. Facebook ads are used by 72% of marketers. Instagram is used by 31%, and it goes on. So that's about 3 million businesses using social media to market themselves every day. And these brands, they're texting us, they're calling us, they're emailing us, they're targeting us in their ads, they're targeting us in their social media posts. They're everywhere, and they're overwhelming us with all of their content. Now, and all their offers. In fact, we're so used to being targeted by brands today that our brain automatically just tries to block out all that noise and ignore those ads. So our brain does a lot of work when we're kind of scrolling through our feeds and we're looking at different things. Our brain goes to maximum trying to maximum just like remove all those ads from you, and so you don't see anything, and kind of gives you that blind spot. Now, millions of businesses they base a huge part of their revenue stream on social media. So they must be getting through to us somehow, right? I mean, some of them are doing a kick-ass job. So how do some brands manage to drown out all that noise and reach us? What separates the successful ones from the rest? And this is exactly what I want to talk about today, because this is what you're going to be doing right after our call. So one of the things that I love to ask, and you may have seen me ask you guys this before, is why do you think people buy from you? It's a very important question to think about and consider with everything that you're doing. So most people seem to think that it's to do with the features that they have, the shipping, the benefits, the different pricing that they have on their product or their service. So a lot of things to do with the product or the service that they're offering. Everything is about that service or product. However, as I've mentioned countless times, I truly believe that if this was the reason that people buy things, if this was the people that made, if these were the reasons that made people purchase stuff or sign contracts or hire different contractors, then the biggest brands in the world would have landing pages like this. Coca-Cola would talk about the fact that they're the #1 soft drink in the world, and they'd be talking about the fact that they have only just 140 calories, and they'd show the image of the bottle and whatever. So it would all be about the product. However, as we all know, this is not what Coca-Cola does, right? So why do so many ads and posts and landing pages and websites focus on this, on benefits, solutions, on pricing, on features? What makes us all just say, oh, this is the right approach to it? So here is my 2 cents on that. We have somehow convinced ourselves after, from years and years of experience, that this is how people buy, right? So we need to decide between a contractor or a SaaS product. And we go through this elaborate stage of thinking and rethinking and considering the pros and the cons. And then we reach this, rational decision that makes complete sense, all to do with logic. So we think people buy this way. And that's why everyone focuses on the features that they're offering, the pricing, the products, and stuff like that. However, the most successful brands in the world, and my students and you guys know that this isn't how people buy, this is. Okay, so every single thing that we buy in life has an emotional reason to it. We're going to cover this a lot more during our emotional targeting month later on this year, where I'll dive into specific emotions and how to use them. There's so many, but unfortunately, guys, we are all irrational and all our decisions are based on emotion. The way it works is we have some sort of issue that we're facing, or we're trying to figure out if we should buy something or not, or hire someone or not, and our emotions kick in. We make a decision according to our emotions, and then logic kicks in, and essentially what we do is we rationalize that decision. Now, I know it's a very hard thing for people to accept. People hate admitting that they're irrational. No one believes it. So I always like to tell a story about myself. And you may have heard this before, but my biggest fear in life is flying. I absolutely hate planes. Now, if you know me, you know that I travel a ton. I'm speaking all over the world. I'm doing workshops at different companies. So I'm flying a lot, and it really is a big thing for me. Like, I have a very hard time doing that. But even though this is my biggest fear in life, I still found myself doing this about 8 years ago. So I jumped out of a freaking plane. Now, I would love to say that I was doing this because I've always wanted to jump out of the plane, or I'm an adrenaline junkie, or I don't know, all sorts of weird, crazy reasons for people who want to jump out of the plane. But I have to admit that that is far from true. In fact, the reason I jumped out of a freaking plane was because I wanted to impress a guy. I kid you not. I wanted this guy that I met at the skydiving club. Um, I wanted him to think that I was this cool adrenaline junkie person. I wanted him to be impressed by me. So I jumped out of a plane. Funnily enough, this guy today is married to one of my friends, and nothing happened with that. But it really is an interesting concept because this is how people buy. And I know this is an extreme example, but everything we buy is based on emotion. There's always some underlying emotion, desired feeling, desired need that lies underneath all of our purchases. So maybe we want to feel loved, perhaps we want to feel part of a community, maybe we want to feel more successful, sometimes we just want a higher self-esteem. Whatever it is, we have to remember, and this is true for B2C and B2B, guys, really important to know this, that no matter what you're selling, what people really care about isn't the what, it's the why. What's in it for them? What's the value? How is this going to make them look? How is it going to make them feel? Is this achieving their emotional goals? But as I mentioned, most of us focus on the numbers, the graphs. When we think about our customers or our target audience, we think about numbers. We think about browsers, devices, geographical location. And that's why when you look at social media posts, you see all sorts of things to do with the product, its pricing, and many other things that have nothing to do with emotion. Let me show you an example. So over here we have a company that talks about the fact that they have various colors available of this gorgeous dress, and it's 30% off. So the specific focus here is on the price and the fact that the dress is gorgeous. And over here on the right hand side, we have the company talking about that it's 14 days absolutely free. So they're talking about pricing, and they talk about the fact that they are the world's number one landing page builder, absolutely free today. So everything that you see in these ads in front of you is to do with the product itself, the service that they're offering, and how cool it is. It's all about the features and pricing. There's nothing in here about emotion. Because, and this is something that, and this isn't about shaming or saying that something, that all these specific companies are wrong, because we're all doing this. Everyone, we're all guilty of this specific thing, where we've all forgotten that there are people behind the screens, people that need help from us. So as I mentioned before, the most successful brands that grab our attention and convert us are those that understand the people behind the screens. They know our pain, our challenges, the outcomes we wish for, they understand the emotions, and they know how to reflect those back to us in their ads, campaigns, and websites. So they're using images and videos and text and copy and other elements in their ads or posts to essentially really influence our emotions. And these companies have really done their research. They know what emotions influence their specific target audience, what makes them stop everything that they're doing and click on that ad. Now, brands that know their audience well understand that people buy products and services because of how they make them feel, not because of the rational benefit behind them. They know that using emotion is the key into to standing out in a crowded market and grabbing a prospect's attention. So all of this stuff is super, super important. And it's also important to remember that when someone's on your website or when someone's reading your ad or clicking on an ad, that's because they have some sort of pain. And it's our job to fix that pain. So I want to talk to you about how you can get started with the same things as the biggest brands. And the good thing is that you don't need any, you don't need like huge amounts of resources. You don't have to have a huge budget. anyone can use emotion to increase their conversions, and especially on social media. So that essentially is this whole thing that we've been talking about until now and all these issues that we face as marketers is actually what made me create the emotional targeting methodology. So if you haven't heard of it yet, and I do speak about it a lot, it's all about understanding people on a deeper level. So it's more than a demographic features like gender, location, profession, income. So when I ask my students or my clients, who is your target audience or who's your customer, mostly I get a list of all these behavioral elements of the devices and the browsers and their age and income and geographical location. But this specific methodology is actually built to understand the people behind the screen. We focus on the real challenges and the pains that prompt people to come to your website and the pains and challenges that they want to solve. So just to give you a quick example of what I mean by that is, let me show you a quick case study. So this company essentially does, helps you create beautiful infographics and presentations in your company. Now, when you look at this page, you'll actually notice that they're making a lot of the mistakes that we've been speaking about today. So their headline is easy to use infographic creator. So it's about the platform. They have 6 different bullet points, all about their features and the pricing and why this product is the best. And their main hero image is a how to use video. So literally a video that shows you how to drag and drop different things. Now, the thing about this is that they hired us to help them not only increase their signups, but they wanted to increase people's engagement with the product. So people who would create many more presentations, many more infographics, and really invest their time in this product. But as I mentioned, there are many issues on this page. It's focused on the product. Nothing in here on this page is actually addressing anything to do with the customer. Now, we did our emotional targeting research. I'm not going to get into that today. We have, as I said, a whole month dedicated to emotional targeting research and understanding those emotions. But there are a few things that we realized when we were doing our research. One of them is that these people who were candidates to using this product are marketers. And these marketers, they wanted to stand out. So their emotional trigger was actually social image. They wanted to have their team, their managers, and the people around them appreciate the work that they do. And they were searching for ways to highlight their hard work. Using a simple PowerPoint or Keynote wasn't enough for them. They wanted something that would make people remember them. The other thing that we realized through our research was that people were really worried about the complexity of this kind of product. So it was really important that we would highlight the fact that it's simple and easy to use, because the people using this product are not designers. They're marketers, just like you and I. Okay, so this was the first variation we created, and it was about make impressive infographics. So instead of easy to use infographic creator, it now says make impressive infographics. And this focuses on empowering the customer. We also reduce the stress of how complex and hard it is by saying, you can create these in less than 10 minutes. And instead of showing a visual of how to drag and drop the product, you actually get a visual of the outcome of what it could look like. And of course, we made various changes and many different other things, like a bigger call to action button. We removed a lot of the bullet points. We changed a lot of it, but most of it is now focused on the person behind the screen and putting those emotions up front. Now we got a 24% increase in registrations and a 76% increase in creation of presentations and infographics. So more people were using the product. Interestingly enough, if you haven't seen this one before, this is the second variation we created for them. Again, there's nothing in here about the product. You'll notice there's no image, there's no cartoon of the product. It's actually a rabbit in a hat. It's a magician. And interestingly enough, this actually increased their revenue by 74%. So why am I telling you all this? Because before we dive into the ideas and tips that I have for you, and I have so many today, I just wanted to once again reinforce the idea and the concept that emotion is imperative. And it's not just in social media, it's with everything that you do, because emotions affect decisions, decisions affect conversions, and obviously conversions affect revenue. So let's dig into the ways that you can use emotion in social media. And specifically, I'm going to talk a lot about Facebook ads, because I know that that's what most people have been asking me about. So how you can do that to grab your prospects' attention and convert them. Okay, so what I thought we'd do is I'd start with showing you a few examples of companies who are doing it so well, and then I'll show you how you can do it. So here's an interesting and such a cool ad by Nike.
Post from someone, opinion from someone, belated birthday wishes from someone, picture of someone's baby, 753 more pictures of someone's baby, someone checked into an airport, someone on vacation telling you they like being on vacation, someone you've never met wants to be your friend, someone likes music, someone you don't remember likes something, live stream with kittens, someone comments about something, someone comments about the comment, someone invites you to join a game you don't want to play, someone shares a petition to save narwhals, an ad for that thing you already bought.
No shoes, no product, no pricing, no features. They're simply making it about the customer. I think this is one of the most brilliant videos I've seen by Nike that is so appropriate for the channel. And remember that you can use emotion in different channels. You can use it on your landing pages. You can use it on your website. But what's really cool is that you can adapt emotion and you can use it to target the specific people that are on the different pages or the traffic sources. And this is done so well. Again, there's nothing in here about the product. It's just about saving you time and kind of taking, the minute to tell you, hey, you spend so much time on your Facebook feed, and wasting time is basically what they're saying. So here, we saved you like 45 minutes. Let's use that time to go for a run. That's it. Let's look at another example. So Thinks is a really cool company, and they use their ads on Facebook to actually address the biggest concerns that their customers have. And I think this is brilliant. So they surveyed their customers, they understood, and we talked about surveys back in January about how to run successful surveys. If you haven't watched those, go to our blog and you'll find all those there. But what's really cool is they surveyed their target audience and their customers, and they came up with the biggest questions and concerns people have before purchasing their product. And let me show you. So this product is insane, but essentially these are period-proof undies. So what they did is they used their ads to answer people's questions. So it says, I have sensitive skin. What are Thinks really made of? So they just answer the question: cotton, nylon, and magic. Question 2, how hygienic are Thinks? Squeaky. Are Thinks a replacement for tampons and liners? They definitely can be. What is in everybody? What's in for everybody else? We have a give back, yay. When it's time to pitch and replace, 2 years with proper TLC. So they go really in depth, and I just really love this, because this is a phenomenal example of companies that understand their target audience. They took the time to really understand what's stopping people from buying them, their emotional response to it, and they addressed it. So here's a few more examples of that and how they did it. But essentially, they really do not only answer people's questions, but they also show the different visuals so that you feel comfortable. So even though the product is the center of these ads, it really works so well because it addresses the biggest concerns people have. Shopify also does a fantastic job where they say, get more out of life. So here's the thing. They know that when someone starts their own business, and that's usually what people do with Shopify, they start their own e-commerce business. It's not just about starting a business and making money. So you start your journey 3, sell online, in store, and on Facebook with Shopify, build your brand on the biggest e-commerce. So you can see on the bottom, they do mention the product, but they talk about getting more out of life. The image has nothing to do with what a Shopify store looks like, because starting your own business means that you're going to get more out of life. You're going to go on that trip you've always wanted. You're going to be set free, and you can do whatever you want. So everything in this ad is geared towards that promise, that emotional kind of feeling that people have. So when you're thinking about, should I start my own business or not? These are the different emotional triggers that persuade people to start their own business. Now, Lego is one of my most famous examples. I love using them. This is a very, very old ad, but I want to show you an old ad, and I'm going to show you a new ad. So obviously social media did not exist during this time when this ad came out, but see how cool this is. So when you're looking at the ad, it says what it is beautiful. And most of these kids are holding different things that they've built that don't really have, except for maybe the planes, that don't really have a purpose. And the idea here is that it's about being proud, happy, and content. Because when you're selling to parents, parents don't really care about the type of game that their kid is playing. But when you say, hey, kids who play with Lego become proud of themselves. They feel confident, and whatever they build, they feel very good. That is something that a parent buys. So they're not buying the opportunity to allow their kid to build a plane or a castle or a Batmobile. What they're actually purchasing is happiness, content, pride for their child. So this is an old magazine an old magazine ad, and I want to show you one of Lego's ads from not too far away. So Lego says, inspire young innovators with a gift of Lego technique, architecture studios, and mindstorms.
They are the curious kids who use creativity to solve design challenges. The ambitious ones who see technology as a medium for self-expression. And the optimistic students with a hunger for learning. The next generation of innovators will amaze us.
By developing the code behind tomorrow's advanced robotics.
By designing tomorrow's skyline.
And building vehicles that will take us to places we've never been before.
They will make us proud. Today, they're in after-school science clubs, home design studios, and messy rooms everywhere. And when they find a spark that ignites their imagination, there is no limit to what they can achieve.
Okay, so one of the sentences they said was, they're in messy rooms everywhere. This is basically an adaptation of what they used to do in the 50s and 60s, which is, we don't talk about what you can build, which they do actually, but you don't really talk about what you can build with it. But more importantly, you talk about these kids and their bright future, because if you are a kid who is playing in a messy room with Lego, then your kid might end up a huge scientist that invents the next biggest technology piece. So it really is fantastic. And here's another example of Lego. They're just so brilliant, the way they use Lego to show you that you can actually achieve your dreams. So kids that play with Lego could become astronauts, they could become rock stars, they could be firefighters, but whatever they want to do, they'll feel proud, they'll feel happy, they'll be smart, and they'll be productive kids. And that is essentially selling to parents. So Lego isn't about that plane, as we said, or the castle. It's about something so much bigger. It's the emotional value. Duolingo is a really cool example. I love it. It's an app that helps you to learn different languages. So they teach you German and English and French and all sorts of stuff like that. But what they did is essentially put an ad on Facebook that says, our High Valerian course is here, perfect for when you need to inquire where your dragons are. Don't wait for winter to come, start now. Fantastic, fantastic way of using emotion, because everyone's into Game of Thrones. Fortunately, it's the last season coming out very soon. But everyone's into Game of Thrones, everyone loves it, and it is a fantastic way of triggering those emotions, creating that affinity with people, and getting people to click on their ad. Okay, so these were just a few examples of some really cool brands and how they use emotion. And now I want to dive into 4 ways that you can leverage emotion to boost social media conversions. So number 1, and this is probably the most important one, is that emotional value always triumphs the benefit. So rather than focusing on the service or the product that you're selling, make sure that you are focusing on the outcome. And again, this is not just about Facebook ads. It's also your Facebook posts, your tweets, anything that you're doing on LinkedIn. Always, when you're thinking about your messaging, focus on the outcome that people are going to get. So how will people feel after buying your product or your service? To grab people's attention, you really need to make a promise. So what is the one thing people will walk away with after buying your product or hiring you? So, for example, I gave this example a couple of weeks ago. A task management platform like Trello or Asana, they're not selling the ability to get a task done. They're selling the opportunity to sort out all that mess that you have in your head, reduce the stress, and perhaps even impress your manager or your colleagues. So that is the emotional outcome. So when you're thinking about writing your next post, or if you're thinking about writing a new ad or whatever it is, I want you to think about the fact that emotional value triumphs, and it always wins from the benefit. So let's put theory into action. Mel Robbins is a really cool example. She has an online course, and in her ad, she speaks directly to the camera and she says, imagine for just 1 second how awesome it would be if you could stop holding yourself back. So she says this to the camera, and she introduces her online course for building self-confidence. She jumps straight into the emotional turmoil of self-doubt, and holding yourself back. She shows segments of videos of people hugging her and thanking her for saving their life. She taps into the real desire of her target audience. Now, this is about starting your own business, but she doesn't focus on how much it costs or what you're going to learn, or I don't know, the different steps you have to take in order to enroll in the course. She just focuses on that promise for a better life and a higher self-esteem. So she really focuses on the challenges that people face. She shows videos of people thanking her, and there's no mention of features, and it's really focused on the emotional value. So this is tip number 1. When you're looking at your ads, when you jump off this workshop today, I want you to go to your Facebook ads, or to look at your tweets, or to look at your Facebook posts, and ask yourself, am I focusing on the emotional value or the benefit? Tip number 2 is telling a story. So this is a great quote that I love. Stories are personal and emotionally compelling, engage more of the brain, and thus are better remembered than simply stating a set of facts. Now, we've all seen these happen. This thing happen where there's a huge cause with hundreds, sometimes of thousands of casualties that need urgent donations or resources and help. And unfortunately, they struggle to get that help, right? So they're trying, but they just can't get it. But suddenly, a compelling story about one person's journey, their struggle, their challenges, turn everything around, and suddenly donations come flooding through. This is actually the power of telling a story, because for us, we as people, we don't really register numbers and graphs. What we register, what we take in is emotions. And it's that compelling story that people tell you. So we don't remember numbers, statistics, or even pricing. What we do remember is how people make us feel. And I think that is a really important thing to know, because the more compelling the story, the more personal and similar your story, or the story that you're telling in your ads or in your posts, the more compelling it is, and the more similar it is to your target audience or to your customer story, the more it will resonate, the better it will resonate and inspire action. Now, one thing about telling stories that you need to know, and it's very important to remember, is that you are not the hero of the story. Your customer is. And what I mean by that is that if you think about every story you've ever heard of, ever in your life, from Harry Potter to Star Wars to, I don't know, those are my favorite ones. But every story you can think of has two main characters that are really the main characters in the story. And what normally happens is that this everyday character who has who's just a regular person, just like you and I, is faced with a challenge. Something happens and they need to solve it. And sometimes they try and they try and they try and they fail and they just can't. And moments before they're about to give in, suddenly a wild person appears, a mentor, right? So this would be Dumbledore or Yoda. Someone appears and changes everything for them. Now, this person, this mentor, like Yoda, for example, they are not going to solve all the problems for Luke Skywalker. He's not going to do things instead of him. What he's going to do is empower Luke to become the hero he was always meant to be. So the mentor is always there to guide them. And in marketing, you are that mentor. You are that company, that mentor that's going to help them find a solution to their problem and solve it, but they are the heroes, not you, not your product, and not your features. So a single person's journey can move us to tears, laughter, empathy, and change our behavior or even our beliefs. You know, that is the power of storytelling. Personal stories that resonate and spark emotions within us, they cause us to take action. So really, it's something that you want to think about how you can leverage storytelling. Now, there's different ways. You can use video ads and copy to tell a compelling story, but you can, you don't have to have videos. And I know I showed quite a few examples, but I'd like to put theory into action, and I'll show you exactly how to do that. So as I mentioned, the best stories are those that resonate with your prospects and make them say, whoa, that happened to me, or oh my God, that's me, or damn, that could happen to me. So Sharni and Julius have a great example here. It's a Facebook ad. She teaches how to do workouts at home. And she says, I have 6 kids, so my workouts have to be short, at home, and potentially involve the kid. Fit Mom is all I do. It works for me, and the support group is amazing. You can join us here. So the image in here is fantastic. It's phenomenal. So you have 3 kids in the image. I don't know how she has 6, but you have 3 kids in this image, in this photo. And it is so realistic, right? Because amongst us, the people who are parents know that when you have a ton of kids, or when you even have one, things can be messy. You don't have the time to put on fantastic clothes, go to the gym, and work out. Sometimes you just have to do it at home. And this is a story that resonates with so many different people, especially her target audience, which is parents. By the way, this is an ad that I used. So it's a whole story about the way that I sat for 20 hours, and I kid you not, trying to book the Harry Potter show on stage in London. It made no sense. I had a newborn at home, and I was adamant I was going to sit there until I could purchase the tickets. Spoiler alert, I didn't get the tickets. It was crazy. The sale went on, and I didn't manage to get them. But I did do it again a month later and got the tickets. But the reason I'm telling you all this is because this ad is for our masterclass for emotion sales, and it's where I teach how to use emotion. And it's just an example of how you do irrational things in the name of emotion. And I'm sure that we all have a weird story or irrational story about that one time we did something that made no sense, complete nonsense. Everyone thought that we were crazy, but we did it anyhow. And that's the power of emotion. So I use this in ads. Now, it was a very successful ad, and I know that some of you may think, well, I don't think long copy works and people don't read, so we should really have short ads. And as you can see on the left, Sharni and Julius do have a short ad with short copy. But I do want to say something. I found many, many times that when the story is compelling, when you tell a story that people want to read, the content can be as long as you want. In fact, I have consistently found specifically that our Facebook ads with longer copy work significantly better than the ads with short copy. So here's another example, one on the left with short copy and one on the right with long copy. And the one on the right where the longer copy had almost 200% more conversions than the shorter one. So people do read, you just have to give them a reason to. And that reason is a story. So these are just a few examples of how you can tell stories. And as you notice, I didn't share videos because not everyone has the budget to create a video. Though you don't have to have a budget to create a video. Simply using your phone to film yourself or asking customers to film themselves on their phone is more than enough. But we'll get into that in a second. Okay, so we talked about the fact that emotional value, it always wins the benefit, and we spoke about telling stories. Number 3 is optimizing for strategic images. So one of the most important rules that I follow with every landing page, email, ad, or post that I follow is that you can't just say it, you have to make people feel it. It's actually one of the biggest pillars of my emotional targeting framework, and it's based on the emotional effects that images have on us. So don't just say it, make them feel it. The images and the colors that you use in your Facebook ads or posts or on Twitter really have a huge impact, and they will determine if people see your post, or if they just think it's worth giving it a moment to consider. Check out your guide or click on the ad or engage with you versus leaving. So all the images that you choose have to be really compelling, and they have to make people stop on their tracks. So, and here's the thing about that. Because I mentioned at the beginning that we see so many ads and so many brands are trying to target us, those colors and images are key to actually grabbing people's attention. And the thing about it is that it doesn't need to be an image of your product like over here. So this company uses on the left, it says hot sale up to 75% off, save $5 with this coupon code. So very, very direct, strategic in terms of sales, but it's just an image of their product. And at the end of the day, as we said, images not only have the job of grabbing people's attention, but they also make people feel a certain way. So on the right, we have an image by Google, and it's basically get $300 to try Google Cloud Platform. So this is very product oriented, and they're not doing such a good use of their images. However, this is very common, because when it comes to choosing images, most ads, similarly to, by the way, to landing pages and websites, tend to use an image of the product that they're selling or something to represent it. So what I would actually love to see you guys do is use strategic images. So Lego and Slack highlight the value of their product versus what it is. So Lego highlights the pride and the happiness that kids feel when playing with Lego, and imply the kind of future that your kids could have if they play with Lego. And Slack focuses on the relief that you'll feel and the fun you can have without all those meetings and all that time that you're basically taken away from your actual work because you have to sit in a meeting. So Slack spares you that pain. And it really is cool, because when you think about it, these images aren't images of the product. On the left, Lego doesn't use an image of what the box of Lego looks like. And on the right, Slack doesn't show a screenshot of what their product looks like. they're just talking about the emotional values. So when you're thinking about choosing your images and your colors, think about testing a few different visuals for your ads. Videos work really well, but images go a long way too. Now, you can brainstorm with your team about the possible outcomes and the value you get from using your product or your service, and then show that in your posts. Most importantly, talk to your clients, survey them or their customers, and ask about the values and the benefits. Again, if you go back to our blog, then we have, in January, we discussed customer surveys and interviews at length, and we gave you bulletproof worksheets and templates that you can use to get to know your customers better and really understand those emotions that they're looking for. And then you can portray them back to people in your posts or in your tweets or your videos. So that was tip number 3, using images not just to grab people's attention, but also to make people feel in a certain way. Tip number 4 is leveraging social proof. So social proof is one of the most powerful tools you can use on any page, let alone in social media. There's power in numbers, and the more people we see going in a certain direction, the more appealing it is to us. So mention the number of people or the clients or the customers who are already using your solution. Now, remember that social proof isn't just there to tell people how amazing your product or your service is, it's there to remove roadblocks. So testimonials and reviews can be used to reduce common concerns that people have, hesitations, and address specific questions that come up from people. And you can even use written testimonials as the ad copy, or you can include screenshots of mentions and reviews that you've received. So rather than people having to take your word that your service includes round-the-clock customer service, you could actually just use a customer story detailing how, I don't know, a specific representative helped them out at 2 a.m. To solve an issue. So that is so much more powerful than you saying, hey, we have 24 hours of support. So let me show you a few examples. Over here, Christmas Abbott, she uses social proof. Wow, over 11,000 people are joining my BBX challenges. The person that you're seeing in this screenshot is not Christmas Abbott. It's one of her people who took her challenge, and this program changed my life. So it's a video, and as you can see, this woman is just using her phone. So you can go a long way in terms of authenticity, using regular phones to do your videos. You don't have to spend a ton of money on branding videos and beautiful videos like Lego might do. So this is an example of how you can use numbers to amplify your social proof, and just have testimonials of people talking about the change that you made for them. Over here is an example of someone who just is giving you a testimonial, and they just actually say, my back pain ruined my life. I was working 12-hour days at a call center. And this guy goes on and explains how tough his life was and how this company saved it. So personal stories, testimonials can be used very well in Facebook ads or in your posts. And this is one of my favorite ones, obviously, from Ellen DeGeneres to Norm Kelly. People can't stop raving about these no-tie shoelaces. So what they did is essentially just put in a screenshot of Ellen DeGeneres' quote, "If there are 3 things that I love, it's Canadians, a good cause, and no-tie shoelaces." Phenomenal use of social media, of social proof. Not all of us can get Ellen DeGeneres to promote us, but you don't have to have a big brand or someone, an authority that gives you this testimonial. Not that it hurts, but any customer, any client of yours who can provide a genuine testimonial or review is perfect. And you can look on Twitter, and you can look in Quora, and you can look on LinkedIn. People are having conversations about you somewhere, or about your industry somewhere online, and you can use that as a great way to promote your product. Okay, so let's summarize. Here are your next steps. I want you to review your social media ads and posts, and I want you to think about how you are What are you highlighting? The value or the benefits? Are you telling the customer's story versus your own? Do your images and colors support the emotional strategy that you are going for? And can you leverage social proof? These are the 3 things that I would focus on, that I would do right now when this workshop is over. You don't have to start thinking, I mean, it's a great idea, but you don't have to start crafting new stuff. Just go back to what is already running, is already live, and see if you can optimize it with these 4 tips. Okay, so here's the interesting thing about emotion that we didn't talk about. Emotion doesn't only just get you to buy things. It's not just about that initial purchase where you target people's emotions and that's it. They buy from you one time and they're gone. In fact, emotion keeps people buying. And when you focus on emotion, when you start integrating emotion into everything that you're doing, in your emails, in your pricing pages, in the stories that you tell on social media, you're not only going to get first-time clients or customers, but you are going to keep people for much longer because they will see the value in what you're offering. The best example I can offer is me. So I started telling you about my biggest fear in life and how I hate flying and how I jumped out of a plane for a guy. But here is the interesting thing. Today, I have over 800 jumps. I am a skydiver. I absolutely freaking loved jumping out of a plane. It was incredible. So this is such a self-empowerment film, right? So I didn't get the guy, but I felt so much better. So after jumping out of that plane, I felt so good about it. I had to do it again. I jumped again. I did the course and I became a professional skydiver, and I did all sorts of competitions, and I flew all over the world. And it's funny because I still am very scared of flying, but what's cool about it is that I love the way skydiving makes me feel. And that is actually the key to marketing in general. When you understand the emotional value that you get from using a product or from connecting with a certain freelancer or a service or a SaaS business, then you will stay for longer, you will connect, and you will become a lot more connected to this company. So emotion doesn't only make you buy one time, it keeps you coming back. So remember to stop asking what is your goal and start asking what is my customer's goal. And the reason for that is actually pretty simple, because only when your customers achieve their goals will you achieve your own. So it's my favorite quote by Brian Eisenberg, my dear friend. And I think this is where I'm going to leave you. So thank you very much for joining this week's workshop. If you have any questions whatsoever, throw them into the comment section below, and I will be happy, my team and I will be happy to answer all of your questions. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was super helpful, and I will see you again next week. Bye.